Boxing Ego here. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon on the top of your screen to get notified when the latest new content drops. 1. Oscar De La Hoya says Canelo Alvarez is moving on from Triple G in September unless Triple G accepts the same deal that they negotiated after the first fight. Stay tuned. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. If you want to become part of the gang, notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the Super Chat channel donations, the Venmo donations, and the Patreon family. We work. And Oscar De La Hoya on his verified account says Canelo is moving on. The only possible way he fights Triple G, Canelo Golovkin, in September is on the same terms we agreed on after the first fight. Hashtag Daniel Jacobs, hashtag Charlo, hashtag Sounders. I don't know why he thinks Billy Joe Saunders' name is Billy Joe Sounders, or maybe he's just being funny. But either way, that's what he's saying. He says Gennady Golovkin will not fight his cash cow Canelo in September unless he agrees to the deal that they had in place already before the mishap with Canelo, the whole drama with Clin Buterin, right? Listen, I'm getting tired of talking about this. I'm going to say it again and again. I don't care what Canelo or Triple G earns in this particular fight. A lot of people are confusing that with what I've said in past videos. I don't care if Triple G gets 50-50 because he's not going to give me any of the 50-50. I will not see a red cent for that. So therefore, I care about the fight. Do I want to see them fight? Yes. I'm actually getting over the fight with all this bullshit, to be honest. But for the fan's sake and the good of boxing, I think they should fight because they have unfinished business. Set the record straight because the draw was kind of weird in a lot of people's eyes. But what was definitely weird was Adelaide Bird's scorecard. So this is not a pro Canelo or pro Golovkin video. This is my thoughts. I don't care what they decide. If they decide 70-30, if they decide 65-35, 50-50, 90-10, none of that really matters to me. But I'm just merely telling you my thoughts and the reality. The reality is, even with Canelo failing a drug test, I get it. A lot of you guys feel he cheated and it wasn't tainted meat. However, it does not change the basic business principles and the way the world operates with this whole A side, B side shit, right? That's like saying a lot of people wanted Floyd Mayweather to lose. Fact. He was still the A side. So no matter if people like Marcos Maidana more, Floyd was still the A side, right? Broner versus Vargas. Yeah, you could say, oh, Sean Porter, he's a more likable guy. Jesse Vargas, more likable. Broner, he acts immature, whatever. But he's still the A side. Canelo, Golovkin, 1, 2, 3. No matter what, unless something changes, Canelo is still the A side over Triple G. So I don't think he's going to get 50-50. Period. Now, the other issue is this. I don't care what they get, but at the same time, now Triple G's side is holding up the fight because they agreed to this even in the rematch. And it sounds like from what Eric Gomez said after the rematch, and then at the last minute, 5 to 6 weeks later, they say, you know what, I talked to Triple G and he's not satisfied with a 65-35% split. He believes he's worth more. That's not typically how you negotiate business. Like, for example, Joshua versus Wilder. Deontay Wilder never said, give me 12.5 million flat and I'll take the fight. That's some bullshit Eddie Hearn and them offered him. And then that's why you had no deal. But you look at the counter offer from Deontay Wilder to Joshua. Wilder's people came up with the amount of money that was requested from Anthony Joshua. He said, oh, 50 mil, give me 50 mil. Tell Wilder's people 50 mil. I'll take the fight tomorrow, right? Then they come up with an offer, a counter offer for 50 mil. And he says, oh, I don't want to fight in America with no rematch clause. I want to fight in the UK for less money. So that's something different. You got to have apples versus apples, apples and apples, oranges and oranges. Triple G's the B side. We know that. Nothing has really changed. We knew Canelo failed the drug test, despite your thoughts on that. But that doesn't make Triple G all of a sudden the A side, because Canelo can still sell. Whether it's right, whether you like it, that's the reality of it. If you say Canelo fights, I'm not saying he could fight Pee Wee Herman, but if he fights a good marketable fight like Daniel Jacobs, Billy Joe Saunders, whoever, Charlo, if he fights any good fight like that, Triple G, then it's going to sell because Canelo has star power. And he has stats to back it up. He has million-plus buys with Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. He has 2.1 million or so pay-per-view buys with Floyd Mayweather. He got almost 1 million with Cotto, etc. Triple G has never sold 1 million without Canelo, meaning his pay-per-view outings with Daniel Jacobs and David Lemieux, where they wanted to test his star power, failed. They flopped. He did under 200,000 pay-per-view buys. So whether you think Canelo's a cheat, you hate him, you hate his red hair, he's still the A-side. And I know it hurts, and I know it makes people mad. Again, I don't care if Triple G, I'm not even knocking Triple G's people for trying to get more. But the thing is, in boxing and in life and in business, you don't get what you're worth. You get what you negotiate. And I think the biggest problem is Tom Loeffler, K2, or however it goes down, they're negotiating on behalf of Triple G, and he's ultimately not happy with what was negotiated. So that sounds like more of an internal Team Triple G problem. Because how is it that your person gets you the best possible deal? Golden Boy says, we'll fight you in September under the same pretense, under the same deal, basically with the same terms, just a new date, probably even the same venue, probably at the T-Mobile Arena again. And now Triple G's hitting up Tom Loeffler and talking to him, hey, no deal. I want 50-50. It's fair, right? Why is it now? Why do you want 50-50? So trust me, nothing's really changed with Triple G. He had all these same belts in the first fight, and Tom Loeffler and whoever else negotiated on his behalf to give him whatever they gave him. They negotiated 65-35 knowing that he thought he won and it was a draw, knowing he was a champion. So now why are you holding up the fight trying to get more money? Why? My thing is, if anything, why did you even agree to the second fight to begin with? That's what the problem is here. Now you have De La Hoya, who's telling you openly in multiple different ways, via YouTube videos, via Twitter, Canelo is moving on. You're not going to get 50-50. You have Eric Gomez, who's the president of Golden Boy. He says they came back with ridiculous demands. They're not getting those demands met. So as far as I'm concerned, this is Gennady Golovkin's side holding up the fight because you agreed to 65-35. Now you're trying to back off the blocks and say, we don't like that. We want more money. So if the fight doesn't happen in September, then it's their fault because they clearly didn't, Triple G or whoever, didn't like the 35% split that his team negotiated with him because now they're trying to switch it. But why did you even sign the contract the first time? You're getting the same deal that you already signed to fight in May. So, I mean, I haven't heard any other, the only thing I've heard people say is, oh, it's not fair. But again, business is not fair. You're kind of, if I go to Costco and they say, hey, we want to hire you and employ you for $13 an hour, and I agree to that. And then all of a sudden I determine, hey, this is not worth it. I'm working long 8-hour shifts and I'm doing manual labor. I'm going into the office and I go storm in the office like, hey, give me 19 an hour. 13 ain't cutting it. And then they say, hey, we can't give you 19. Then whose fault is that? Is that mine or is it theirs? A company, a business, they're going to always try to cut corners and cut budgets and not necessarily max you out on the first try. You know what I'm saying? So it's up to you to know your own value and your own worth and get what you're worth right then and there. So again, bottom line, I don't even care if this fight happens because there's a lot of politics, a lot of bullshit. You could argue, oh yeah, Triple G, he's worth 50-50. He shouldn't deserve this split, blah, blah, blah. But that's in a perfect world that all people are looking at when negotiating is, oh, he arguably won the first fight and he's the guy with the most belts. In boxing, time and time again, it has been proven that the A side rarely has anything to do with any of those factors. I've seen situations where a champion had to walk out first and the non-champion came out second, like Cotto Martinez. I've seen situations where the guy with losses that was a bigger star, let's say Broner, got more money than the guy who had the belt. You know what I'm saying? Like Paulie Malignaggi could have had the belt at welterweight. Broner hadn't done shit at welterweight, but Broner might have got a bigger salary to face Paulie Malignaggi. This is boxing. This is not like me siding with Canelo or reinventing the wheel. This is the reality of it. Broner has a mouthpiece, so there's a good chance, this is just off the top of my head, there's a good chance that Paulie Malignaggi, He fought everyone from Ricky Hatton to Amir Khan and all these guys. By the time he even fought Broner, he was the champion at welterweight, but there's a chance Broner got more money. So again, this sounds like more of a personal problem with Team Triple G in how they negotiated. Because here's a similar situation. Notice Daniel Jacobs was very candid. He called out Triple G, said he wanted to fight Triple G, right? But based on him being the WBA regular champion and Golovkin being the WBA super champion, per their rules, whatever amount of money was put up, they were going to have to do a 75-25% split. And they were trying to make this fight for December 10th, 2016, if I'm not mistaken. And this is a fight I covered, but if this is just a chronological order. They couldn't negotiate to terms by December 10th, and a lot of it had to do with they were running out of time. They had the date stored, but they needed more time to discuss the financials, because Jacobs, if you guys remember in those negotiations, he didn't want to take 25% because he's saying, hey, you're saying Golovkin is this dragon and I got to slay the dragon, and 25% would only be like, let's say 1.2 million. I made 1.3 million to fight Peter Quillen. So why would I make similar or less money to fight Golovkin? And you're saying he's the best, and ESPN saying he's the top 25 in the last 25 years, and he has all these belts and he's knocking motherfuckers out. He says, I'll fight him, but you got to make it make sense, right? He held out, and then they made the fight for March, which I covered in New York, Madison Square Garden. They happened to have a snow blizzard, and the fight was made. You know why? Because Daniel Jacobs wanted to fight, Triple G wanted to fight, and Jacobs knew his worth and knew what he had acquired in the past. So he was like, I'm not going to just fight this monster, or the guy you're calling a monster, right? And just get whatever you offer me. Just because of the rules say 25%, that we can establish our own financials that's more lucrative based on this type of really good fight on our own. And Jacobs knew his worth, him and his team. So they didn't wait and just rush and take the fight for 25%, and them holding out actually made more sense because they got what they wanted. The Triple G fight, in my opinion, beat Triple G, but nonetheless, it was a very close fight that exposed Triple G as being more human than people. It ended his knockout streak and stuff like that, and he got more than 25% when it was said and done. So everybody got what they wanted, you know what I mean? But it all stems from Jacobs and his team knowing Jacobs' worth and knowing he was worth more than 25% per the WBA rules. Now, if Team Golovkin did the same thing and said, we're not rematching Canelo, we arguably beat you in the first fight, blah, 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 we're not going to take 35%, and then they got 45%, then Golovkin probably wouldn't be mad. But he's mad because he feels he's getting lowballed, which maybe you can argue that he is getting lowballed. But my problem is that's a Team Triple G issue. They should have negotiated on his behalf to try to get more. Say, hey man, we think we beat you. He has all the belts. You know what I'm saying? This is felon drug test. This dude, your fighter's felon drug test. He arguably lost to Lada. You know what I mean? We ain't never been knocked down and whatever, right? We beat Jacobs, a certified middleweight. He ain't done shit at middleweight. And you negotiate on behalf of Team Triple G. You don't say, I'll accept 35%. And then all of a sudden, when it comes down to it, now he's mad and now you want something more. Because now you're just holding up the fight. Because you could have ironed that out in the first negotiation. Or there wouldn't have been a rematch had you maybe said 50-50 back then. De La Hoya and them probably would like, we're not going to give it to you then too. So either way, I think Triple G, they haven't put themselves in a position of power or leverage. And just if you think that just merely being a champion or having belts or because Canelo failed a drug test is leverage, that's not really leverage. Again, life is not fair. Business is not fair. That's the reality of it. Is it fair that Paulie Malignaggi went to somebody's backyard, became a welterweight champion? I think he did in the UK. See, I know my shit. And then he's challenging Broner. And because Broner has the ability to sell, and what he did at lightweight, he was looking good at lightweight, he can move up 2 divisions and arguably lose to Paulie Malignaggi. It was a close fight, and he still got paid more than Paulie Malignaggi, right? And Paulie's the champion. Is that fair? No. You would probably say Paulie's been a good guy. He's been in the game. He's an insightful commentator. He's a nice guy. So is it fair that this trash-talking Broner can move up where he hadn't done shit at welterweight at that moment and get more money than Paulie? But no, the reality of it is Broner puts ass in the seat. Ah, man, you know, AB, about belts. I took his belt and his girl. That's not my girl, that's my side piece. Why you keep bragging about my side piece? You know what I mean? All that commotion and stuff building the fight. It's not fair, but that's the reality of it. Same thing with Golovkin. He's a good fighter. He's a champion. He has all the belts. Canelo doesn't. Canelo failed 2 drug tests. But guess what? Canelo's still the A side. That's what it is. So you have to, if anything, you have to put yourselves in positions of power. Fight somebody notable and destroy them or something and be like, yo, we have way more credible names on our resume at middleweight than you. Plus we had the belts. Plus we just beat Billy Joe Saunders and got the last belt. But they didn't do those things. They fought Vondas Martirosyan. So it is what it is. Make sure you smash the like button as always. Hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video, it's Ego signing off. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button. And you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.